After missing out on one Italian race in Imola earlier on in the season, we are finally back in Italy once again for Formula One action with Monza. That's right, the Formula One post-summer break is coming at us thick and fast. Last weekend we were in the Netherlands and now we're back in Italy at Monza, a track that always seems to deliver. But if you want to know my predictions, you're going to have to hang around until the end of the video. First and foremost, let's delve into Monza because it is the home of Ferrari, the home of the Tifosi, and they will be out in full force, hoping that Ferrari can do something a little bit special. It was also the world's third purpose-built racetrack ever and part of the original Formula One calendar back in 1950 and has held the Italian Grand Prix every single year since, apart from one. Though it is a track that has a mixture and has history, it also has a lot of different winners and it throws up different winners a lot of the time. Apart from Verstappen last year, the 3 years before saw Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly and Charles Leclerc in an unfavoured Ferrari pick up a victory at Monza. And could someone a bit out of the blue step up and break Max Verstappen's win streak? Of course, Max Verstappen going for 10 wins in a row. Maybe one of the ex-Red Bull drivers will be able to step in, pick up a victory and ruin the Red Bull party. The Grand Prix itself, though, takes place over 53 laps of the 5.793 kilometer track, 11 corners, 2 DRS zones as well to handle, and it's one of the highest speed tracks on the Formula One calendar. 84% of your lap time is spent at full throttle. It's all about low downforce and it's all about top speed. And there's also some insanely heavy braking zones. We're looking at turn 1, turn 4 and turn 8. All as good overtaking opportunities as they are heavy braking zones after very high speed sections. However, having said that, I think it's going to be tough to overtake this weekend because everybody runs really low drag rear wings and therefore the DRS is less effective than normal, which means that tyres are going to be so important for the strategy this weekend. It sees an aggressive tyre choice from Pirelli. They have gone for the softest 3 compounds, the C5, C4 and C3 being our hard compound tyre. And with the tyre offset qualifying as well, so hard compound tyres for Q1, medium compound tyres for Q2 and soft tyres being used for Q3, there'll be a lot of strategy going on up and down the grid, with the main strategy for the race being probably a one-stop medium onto soft is what we saw a lot of the time last year, especially considering the weather is looking like it's going to have a lot less of an impact compared to last weekend after a very wet Netherlands Grand Prix where we had rain after 1 lap and later on in the Grand Prix too. So looking a lot more stable over the Monza Grand Prix weekend, 24, 25 degrees over the course of Friday and Saturday, and then only a 30% chance of rain during qualifying, only a 10% chance of rain during the race, so it will probably be dry for the drivers throughout. If we look at how the changes to the Constructors' Championship have gone, though, Aston stretch ahead of Ferrari, but with the home crowd, they will be willing that gap to be closing, and Ferrari are still within touching distance. 14 points is definitely doable within one weekend, although I don't see them catching Mercedes this weekend personally. McLaren still sit 5th, they're fairly safe there, and no idea how they'll do this weekend. We haven't really seen them in a really high-speed track like this. You could argue Spa is similar, but we obviously saw them running a wet setup for that weekend, so we're not really sure how the McLaren is going to do. Williams and Alpine should be good this weekend, though. They gained a lot in the Netherlands, where I thought they were going to be quite slow, and actually they should be pretty competitive this weekend, especially Williams, as Williams move away from Haas now. They're on 15 points compared to Haas's 11, so they fully move away from them in terms of points and not just on ahead of results. And then AlphaTauri had a tough weekend. Obviously, they've lost Daniel Ricciardo for this weekend as well. They're still bottom of the pack, and I think this weekend's going to be really tough for them. Then we move on to the Drivers' Championship. Hamilton lost out to Alonso. Alonso picking up that podium makes that 3rd place look a little bit more comfortable for him now on 168 points, where that was only a 1-point gap. That's now 12 points that Hamilton has to make up. Sainz jumps ahead of Leclerc and Russell onto 102 points. He's only the 5th driver to get over 100 points this season. Gasly also moves up to the top of his little group, only 1 point though ahead of Ocon and Piastri. So that group of 3 looking very, very tasty for this weekend. And then Albon is starting to look uncatchable in 13th place, now 6 points ahead of Nico Hülkenberg. And the Williams, as I said, looking really good for this weekend. Could be very, very competitive. I mean, we saw Nick de Vries get points here last year, so Albon should be able to do something a little bit special as long as he doesn't have to have another appendix taken out. And then Logan Sargent, still the only driver yet to have picked up points, but maybe this is the turning point, a track where Williams should be really, really quick. which is why when it comes to my predicted winners and losers, Williams are right at the top of it. Like last weekend, they should have been absolutely rubbish in the Netherlands, and Alex Albon managed to start that race in 4th place. Okay, the weather didn't go his way, but I think they will be really, really quick, and obviously they're always the fastest in the speed trap. That Williams is just so quick in a straight line, and of course Ferrari. It is their home Grand Prix, but they're also really efficient in a straight line as well, and they could manage to nab a podium finish if they do really well over the course of this weekend. The Aston Martin, though, has struggled with top line speed all year. We've known they've been a really good car through the medium and low speed corners in particular, but I don't think they're going to be very good in the straights this weekend, and I could see them having a tough week in the green, and therefore I'm thinking Lewis Hamilton may be able to catch Fernando Alonso, depending how competitive that Mercedes is. I'm not really sure how competitive that Mercedes is going to be, though, and as much as I'm excited to see him Liam Lawson, I think this weekend will be really tough for AlphaTauri. Obviously, they do lack top line speed as well, similar to the Aston Martin, and they're even slower through the corners, and they're missing one of their best drivers in that Liam Lawson, don't get me wrong, I think he's going to do really well. He's not Daniel Ricciardo, and Yuki Tsunoda is still having a good season, but I can't see him dragging that AlphaTauri to any kind of result here. And therefore, my top 3, Max Verstappen, I'm going to say that he gets 10 in a row. I'd absolutely love to see somebody else do it. And as I said, Monza is one of those tracks where we have seen some surprise winners over the last 3 or 4 years. But it just seems inevitable that he's going to get that 10th place. It's another record on his list, and he's just going to break every single record that there is this season. Red Bull straight line speed makes me think that Sergio Perez is also going to be right up there, even if he messes up qualifying. I think the fact that they have that straight line speed advantage, and I know I said that DRS isn't going to be a massive thing this weekend, but they do also have a really solid DRS car as well. I think they're going to be able to make places forward. Like, think of that Spa straight where Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen were just flying past people before they even got to the corner. And then I'm going to go for Carlos Sainz in 3rd place. I thought about Charles Leclerc, obviously being the home of Ferrari. I'd love to see a Ferrari up there on the podium. And you know what? He was really good last weekend, Carlos Sainz, in a really rubbish Ferrari car. And he didn't actually have free practice 1 because Schwartzman was in the car. So I'm backing Carlos Sainz. After this summer break, he's come back, looked really refreshed, looked really good, and is going to get his first podium of the season in the Ferrari. But I'd love to know your predictions in the comments down below. I'd love to know who you think your top 3 are going to be and your winners and losers in terms of those teams this weekend. And also, I put together a video that goes through the hottest takes, I would say, from the Netherlands Grand Prix. So click that link and I'll see you over there.